Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of DASKA Discusses. You know, in 1988, a movie came out which, well, let me just put it this way. It wasn't really a movie, it was a mixture of music clips, claymation, and overall weirdness. And we are talking about Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. And let's not forget, in 1990, they created a video game based off that movie as well. And that's the soundtrack I'm playing in the background here. Now, we are going to be talking about 1988 movie Moonwalker and the video game, but let me just say this, guys. I always have been a huge MJ fan my whole life. And how can I put this? If you didn't grow up in that era of MJ, Michael Jackson was, as they say these days, peak. We're talking about the number one pop star in the world during this period of time. And also, I think, of all time, really, he is the GOAT. He is the king of pop. And this movie, well, let's talk about it, shall we? The reason why I'm talking about it is because the actual Michael movie is being released in April as well. So I'm hoping that they do a good job with that. Let's talk about Moonwalker, one of the strangest movies ever made, shall we? Moonwalker didn't really have much of a plot. It's not really a concert film, and it's definitely not a conventional narrative of like an opening, development, and a resolution, okay? But somehow, it became one of the most memorable things of the late 80s, and my personal experience of the film, I remember vividly borrowing this from the video store and being connected to it in a way that I'm just like, I was in awe of it, right? Now, the first 20 minutes of the film is pretty much a compilation of MJ's Man in the Mirror concert that he plays at the Bad Tour, and then just a whole bunch of like recapping when he was a kid, and then showing bits from the Beat It era, or the Thriller clip, just snippets here and there of all the music clips that he's released, okay? Then there is a pretty funny scene where a bunch of kids parody the Bad clip, and they're basically, about 10 to 12 years old, and they're all dressed like MJ. It's basically the Bad music clip, but they're all dressed as MJ, and they all kind of perform it, which is pretty funny. So when you're a kid, you think, oh, wow, that's cool. I wish I could be in that. I wish I could do that, okay? So the first time I saw it, I was probably 6 or 7. 6, 7. Yeah, I'm sick of that joke too. But why it stuck with me was because we didn't have access to the internet back then. There was no YouTube. You couldn't just type in Michael Jackson Beat It into YouTube and then be able to watch the clip, or Smooth Criminal or whatever. The only way that we got access to watch any kind of clips was one, MTV or normal TV, you can just say, or through this film. This film, the first 20 minutes, has a mixture of all these. And I remember vividly rewatching the Beat It, 15 seconds of the dance in Beat It, and like, or Billie Jean, just say there was 20 seconds of that, and trying to learn the dance steps and move like MJ. Again, like I said, I'm a huge fan of MJ, performed back in the day, long time ago. But yeah, dance-offs around Melbourne, which is a lot of fun. MJ has been part of my life, and not just like music taste, but this film, and also all the short films that MJ made were so influential to the music industry and even the film industry, okay? Having Scorsese do the Bad clip, having John Landis do Thriller, and the only way to see snippets of these, unless you're, watching video hits or MTV back in the day, like I said, was through this film, right? Now, that's the first 20 minutes. As the movie goes on, there is a extended sequence of claymation of Speed Demon, and MJ's actually in it, and he's not a bad actor as well. And once that claymation's over, it goes into the Leave Me Alone clip, which again, I think is really well done, and I found out that it's actually a lot of it was practical effects as well, and the song itself is important to MJ because it's about people leaving him alone. If you listen to the lyrics carefully, about 38 minutes in, you start meeting friends of Michael, these kids, and they're in some kind of weird city, and then MJ comes out with his suit, and these guys start shooting at him. And then there's kind of like a flashback to him at a park playing with the kids, and Skipper, the dog, Katie, and then they go into this cave. It's just very bizarre. And then we find out that Joe Pesci, the bad guy...
You guys got to get in the middle of this country. Get in the middle of the country. Stop those kids from praying in school first. I want you to hang around by playgrounds. I want you to hang out at schoolyards. You got to remember, a younger customer always turns into a loyal customer.
So basically, Joe Pesci is trying to get kids addicted to drugs. It is quite bizarre. So yeah, all these spiders and these kind of weird kind of storyline and these rats, and then he gets away, then they run, they're trying to chase MJ through these weird streets. Pretty good sets, I must say, like wherever they filmed this. It's high production values, MJ running a lot in this film. And then he kind of gets cornered into a alley, and I'm not kidding now. He transforms into a car and flies over them. Yeah, MJ turns into a car. I'm not kidding. And then the kids, the three kids, they end up in some weird old club, and it's all like cobwebs and all that kind of stuff. And then, well, obviously that ends up being part of one of the greatest, if not, I'm not kidding now, top 3 of all time music clips of MJ, not just MJ, of all time. We've got the Smooth Criminal sequence in the old Club 34, whatever it's called. And this, my friends, is how you make a music clip. Seriously. They've had all this weird stuff that's been happening in this movie. MJ turning into a car, Joe Pesci, the villain with all these drug references and stuff like that. But then it randomly cuts to MJ getting into this club, pulls out a coin from his jacket. And I remember this, man. I remember flicks the coin. And you remember this if you've seen it. This is the centerpiece of the film, seriously. You got to remember, guys, that at the time, this was post-Thriller, and it was just in the beginning, well, the Bad Success as well was getting big. MJ wasn't just a musician, he was a pop culture icon. These music videos were like cinematic events, man. Like the only way you could watch it was on TV at a certain time. Now, I remember vividly, I was old enough for the black or white clip that came on TV back in 91, 92, whenever it was, but you remember vividly where you were when you watched the MJ clip. Now, I was very young when Bad came out, but I do remember watching this movie clearly, and seriously, this Smooth Criminal is one of the greatest sequences, man. Seriously. The white suit, the way it just goes from like he walks into it, flicks the coin, the whole sequence is great. Now, people do complain about a bit further down into the clip where everything gets all slow, like time kind of stops. This part. I've got friends that are like, oh, I just never like the bit where everything kind of slows down. The thing is, guys, I like this because after you've had that big adrenaline rush of him performing, parts of Smooth Criminal, everything just slows down. This is like it's like something you'd see in Broadway, man. It is so good. The clicking of the fingers, the white suit, the tape around the fingers, the hat, everything just screams MJ of the late 80s. And then they snap out of this and then basically comes back to it and Katie's watching. And then we've got the famous move that he does, which is the lean, which everyone tries to do when they're holding on to something. I love doing this when I'm like on an escalator in Melbourne going up the from the train station, and it's kind of on an angle. You just kind of like bend down a bit and you're like doing this Smooth Criminal. I've got fond memories of this whole dance sequence, having performed it many years ago with friends. So you had MJ turning into a car, then he goes to this club, does this Smooth Criminal thing, comes back out, and then they all surround him, and then I'm not kidding, this is what happens. They all surround him. Joe Pesci starts slapping a kid, which is disturbing.
What are you doing this? Stop it! You want to know why I'm doing this to you?
He actually whacked her one, which is disturbing. I remember even back then. And then MJ gets forced, like he gets basically got a guns pointed to him, and then MJ turns into a robot. And he starts shooting lasers from his eyes and everything. It is the most bizarre thing you'll ever see. MJ turns into a robot and starts shooting them all up with his powers, which is just bizarre. Then he turns into a spaceship and flies away. And then that Joe Pesci's character gets into a spaceship and flies up into the sky, and they have a big battle in the sky. Talk about weird. Then MJ obviously saves the kids. They're walking through some weird kind of alleyway, and then all of a sudden, like, MJ is on stage performing Come Together. Come on, flat up, become grooving up slowly together. Yeah, good song, and yeah, that's basically what happens, and then it ends on that, and then the movie just kind of ends with like the Moon Who's Walking sequence, just a bunch of guys singing a song, showing the behind the scenes of Smooth Criminal, and that's pretty much it from the film, guys. Now let's talk briefly about the video game that came out in 1990, which I actually had a copy of on my Sega Genesis. I loved it, and let's just play some gameplay here. So basically, listen to this. Michael. So your job is to basically go around and save kids from the bad guys, and obviously every stage was different. The first stage was Club 34, and then you've got all sorts of moves. You're playing as MJ, kicking and hitting glass or dust into people's faces, and then once you save all the kids in every stage, you have a boss that you need to fight. What's really cool is that you could do this one move where, there you go, Frankie Ladea, you'll never catch me. And then you can do this move where if you spin around, you could basically do this thing where you all spin around, and then all the enemies start doing the moves from the song. So Smooth Criminal, they start doing the Smooth Criminal moves. Pretty cool, and then everyone dies. And then there's like the street stage, which was Beat It. Here we go. Ready? You're doing the Beat It song. That's pretty cool. They told him, don't you ever come around here. So it was pretty cool. You had a pretty good soundtrack in that game. There was Smooth Criminal, Beat It, Another Part of Me, Billie Jean as well. Again, very bizarre game. There was only a couple of times you could, if some comet hits you, you can turn into a robot, just like in the movie. But the premise was simple. You go around saving kids. And at the time, when you're in primary school and you're a fan and all that stuff came out about MJ, it was quite, like, oh, you like playing that game, do you, DASKA? It's a bit weird. He's saving kids. Yeah. Anyway, it was I remember 1991, MJ cancelled because of all those allegations, and I was gutted as a kid. He cancelled the concert to Australia, but I did manage to see MJ live at the MCG in 1997, and I'll never forget that. And I actually had tickets to the O2 Arena in London with a friend of mine, and yeah, unfortunately that didn't go ahead due to MJ's passing, which was really, really hard to, that was a sad time, and unfortunately, MJ left us too soon, I think. The game was also an arcade version as well, which I never got to play, but the Genesis version was pretty cool. I mean, it wasn't the greatest game, but it was interesting because you got to remember that MJ, he was a huge celebrity, and he did this whole crossover of cinema, music, and video games. Like, he was branding himself across all this, and I really can't remember really of another artist that did that back then. And I think the themes and meaning of Moonwalker was that, especially MJ, that Bits with the Kids was about innocence, protecting children. The game was about saving children. And he was looking and trying to make himself the celebrity as like a superhero figure, turning into a robot, I get it, and making music his power. Like in Smooth Criminal, the way he defeats everyone is through dance. It's not about story. It's about myth making in a way. Like, you can defeat someone through through dance. And today, it still has a bit of a cult status, the film. The Smooth Criminal sequence is iconic forever, okay? You know what, guys? Moonwalker might not be a great film, but just to tell the young generation of today, it's a perfect time capsule of when pop culture had no rules. It was like something we'd never seen before. Yes, it was weird, but I'm telling you now, like, go back and watch it, have a look, but I don't think you'd understand unless you grew up in that era how big MJ was. You can have your Taylor Swift, your Tay-Tay, and your Ed Sheeran, whatever. Good on them. That's great. But we're talking about like this period of time, man. MJ, Prince, it was huge, man. And MJ just was beyond. And then every album just got better and better. I mean, how can you beat Thriller? I'm not saying Bad was better than Thriller, but I'm just saying like the music clips, even into the 2000s, guys. And I loved MJ, and I still do, still listen to his music, I still dance as well. And in case you didn't notice, the fedora on the DASKA Discusses logo and what I wear is because of MJ. So in summing up, MJ will never be forgotten. And it's not going to be remembered like Moonwalker, the film isn't going to be like remembered like, oh, what a rubbish, weird movie. No, it's going to be like, remember when MJ released a movie and a video game, and when we talk about it with friends, we still remember playing it as kids, like little kids going to your neighbor's house or your cousin's house and putting on the game and playing it and being like, yeah, I'm playing as MJ and I can do these moves. And then you know what? Let's watch the movie too while we're at it. It is a time capsule for a period of time. And the whole point of my channel, guys, is a nostalgic look at things. And just to explain that I want to know what artist even comes close to creating media such as this. And that's where I'm going to leave it, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this interesting episode on Moonwalker from MJ, the video game and the movie. Please don't forget to follow and follow on Spotify or Apple. And I'll see you on the next episode. But for now, I just want to say thank you so much to DASKA. This has been great. Oh, thanks, Michael. It's been great. Thank you. Can you dance for us? Sure. See you guys. Bye. Boom.